ESPN out of the NBA. LA Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard has been diagnosed with a torn meniscus in his right knee. Sources confirmed to ESPN today. The Athletic first reported on Kawhi's injury. Okay, Dog?
Yes.
We've been talking about Kawhi at length this morning, and now that we have details on the severity of his injury, does your stance change?
No, when did he hurt it? He hurt it before game 1 or game 2?
I believe it was game 2.
So he played.
Wasn't that true? Was that correct?
Was it at the end
when
of
he
game
had
one,
31 and 32. No, he had 30 in game 1.
Game 1 is what was reported.
Oh, game 1. So he played
game 1, then he played game 2.
So he played game 2 with a torn meniscus.
Apparently.
And he had 31 in the game.
Yeah.
And they had a chance
Pretty
to win.
impressive.
They were.
You can now talk in 30 years from now when you're still doing talk radio. You can talk about how Kawhi Leonard had 31 on a torn meniscus.
You know what? I'll also talk about how Kevin McHale, with a broken foot, played throughout the playoffs. And I'll still talk about Bird, who you didn't see, him and I did, concussed, dead to the water. He'd be out a month if it happened today. Came back in the game, couldn't walk, and won game 5.
I do have a funny, JJ, this is just me, man. I do have a funny question to ask you, because I've always wanted to ask you. It's a perfect excuse to ask you this question. So that book, Blood in the Garden, that was written by the reporter from the New York Times that Spike Lee and I are going to do something with, it talked about a story when Charles Smith was hurt. And he walked in to a meeting with Pat Riley with street clothes. And Pat Riley stopped the meeting and looked at him and said, if everything was on the line and we needed you desperately for just 5 minutes, could you give it to us? And Charles Smith said, yeah. And Pat Riley said, then what the F are you doing here out of uniform?
There you go.
What do you think about that story?
There you go.
If I was a coach, and hopefully one day I will be, I wouldn't want my players to play with a torn meniscus, a broken foot, a concussion. I don't think it does it any good. I think specifically in this time, again, I'll repeat what I said in the first hour. If a player goes out and plays with a torn hamstring or a broken foot or a concussion, in this day and age, it's readily apparent 2-3 possessions in that they need to be off the court. It's impossible. So everybody talks all the time. The 5, can you give us 5? Can you give us 10? Those would be brutal 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Your team's going to lose. Okay. Your team's going to lose. Okay. Exploitation. Got it. That's the advantage.
Okay. So no one's opinions changed based on.
No, I played game 2 of the tournament.
But I do respect where JJ is coming from. I just want you to respect the fact that there's a lot of people associated with the NBA as deep, if not deeper than you, who feel differently. That's all. And I'm not saying you don't.
I respect that. And I said in the first hour, Stephen A., that I respect all the old heads that did that and played through injury.
Yep. And he
I'm talking about even the people that haven't, but they're in the NBA.
Respect it.
They're
feel entitled to their opinion.
They feel that way.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
Kawhi.
Series tonight against Memphis if
AD has 25 plus, and he's had this up and down series, 2 phenomenal games, 2 games where he really wasn't there offensively at all. You go on the road, you know what the environment's going to be. This is the kind of game that LeBron smells it in the water. It's going to be over, and Anthony Davis will give him that feeling if he's engaged in the beginning.
You agree AD is the key here?
Absolutely. He owes it to LeBron after the game he had, and LeBron was able to pull it out and get the win. He did get the block late, but if you're Anthony Davis and you saw the effort LeBron James gave in that game 4, you say to yourself, I owe you one. And I know he's got a hip issue. He's been talking about it, and it's amazing that he continues to let you know all the different injuries that he has. The guy's like the operation board. But, you know, that's an old reference. I think legs, you
every time I tried to get the funny bone. Yeah, I know exactly the game you're talking about.
Some kids might not know it. But he clearly has had some issues. But this is one where you got to dig deep and say, all right, my guy got me here. I owe him. And I've got to give him now a win here.
I do think one of the weirdest things about these playoffs is that right now, like, the Lakers are the only healthy team, right? Like, everybody else has injury. But this team we had all these questions about. But look, Legs, I'm looking at a tight turnaround here. They played the other night, and they have an earlier start time, tonight. Like, is that something that you think can affect them given their issues with, relying on older guys?
Yeah, it can affect them, but I do believe that they understand the seriousness of this moment. Right? So if you drop this game, number one, immediately the confidence level of the Grizzlies pivots. by getting one win. Now you feel like, okay, we're in this series. And now the Lakers would have one home game left to close it out. And as well as some of these young guys have played for them, that's a lot of pressure knowing you could go back on the road for Game 7. So looking down the line, LeBron is smart enough to process all of this. He wants to take care of business now. Get this over with and not give this team all of a sudden belief that they're back on our level again. Because right now, Memphis is kind of reeling.
Who wins this game?
I think the Lakers are going to win this game. I think the Lakers have the Grizzlies, and the reason is not only because of how well the Lakers have been playing and their supporting cast, everything else, but I'll tell you what, when you look at the Grizzlies right now and you see the Dillon Brooks stuff, and I mean, there's got to be some guys in that locker room looking at him going, are you serious? Poke the bear? Really, man? Like, this is what we wanted to do? They feel like a team that is showing a lack of maturity. It's something that their own coach has talked about, but it's something you see. And with Ja Morant not 100%, it just feels like if the Lakers can punch first in this game, especially, like I said, Anthony Davis shows up and starts to dominate a little bit, will the Grizzlies start having a doubt, and will they also start to fray enough to let go of the rope?
Yeah,
that's something I could see happen tonight.
Yeah, whether that 12-0 run you're going to get. Memphis is going to hit them with a 12-0 run at some point in the first half. Whether that, come back, get that thing to even again, I think Memphis collapses.
I think you were talking yesterday about LeBron James and what we're watching here. I found that interesting, the idea that he's kind of maybe having sort of a legacy postseason that we might not have seen coming.
Yeah, I mentioned it. You know, we all loved The Last Dance. It got us through the pandemic. And this could be LeBron James's version. This could be like the live document. We could be watching this right now unfold. And this is one of the episodes, this first series, because we have always seen LeBron James under pressure, under scrutiny, must win, has to win a championship, chasing history, chasing ghosts. Right now, he is in the athlete nirvana where mind, body, and spirit are in a great place. He's a leader among a young team that he seems to love doing it, and it's pockets of the game that he needs to dominate, not 48 minutes of a game that he needs to dominate.
Yeah.
That's what I find so remarkable about what we're watching with him and so at peace that he is. And I would think if they can get to a finals, I mean, what a story it would be, and it might be one of his best.
It's amazing when any athlete or any person, any walk of life, when you get to that place in your life when you're just completely cool with the results, however it turns out, when you get to that place, you know, the freedom you have, the peace that you have, it allows him to do what he's doing. It's pretty fun to watch. This might be one of the most, for people out there, you know, there's always those people that are anti-LeBron people no matter what.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible not to love this version of him. It really is. Just watching what he's doing with this particular group, especially if they go on a serious run, and the matchups we could potentially see down the road for him personally, like they end up getting the Warriors, and they got the Suns. It's like if that were to happen,
Steph Curry,
look at those individual matchups.
The marquee, right? And the young players almost don't want to let him down.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing about this, too, is what and that's why I said, Anthony Davis, this is your game now, to not let him down. You bring it tonight. What did Coach say? We were talking to Coach Herm about, he's a big Laker fan. Coach, what do you call Anthony Davis?
Cotton.
Dr. Cotton.
But what if Anthony Davis says, LeBron, I owe you, oh, my hip, my hip. I almost owed you one.
My back, my neck and my back.
So we'll see about the Lakers. The defending champion Golden State Warriors are also back on the road for a Game 5 tonight. Golden State lost the first two in Sacramento, but even the series up at home. You may recall the Warriors were 11-30 on the road in this regular season. Only Detroit, Houston, and San Antonio were worse. None of those teams are in the postseason. So I think this is a real thing with the Warriors and has been all year. They're 11-32 in road games.